Hello, good morning. It is Tuesday, June 3rd. I am Manila Chan. That over there is Ted Rall. You are tuned in to the Ted Manila Information Show, TMI Show for short, because we bring you way too much information. We're live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So, guys, please be sure to hit that like button if you haven't already done so. If there was a love button, I know you guys would hit it, obviously. Hit that thing.
Not a lust button, though.
No, you gotta love.
Show.
Oh, yeah. We need the love.
No lust.
Not just like.
No
we need the love. There's more commitment in in the
right.
love. In the love. So today on the show, we're gonna give you a couple quick updates before we get to this main medical story, which is actually, I don't know. I guess it's good news, Ted, about the whole synthetic blood.
What else would it be?
I think, I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe if I talk through it, maybe I'll feel some sort of way about, I don't know what, maybe some sort of ethical concerns. Maybe Robbie will weigh in with some Christian concerns. I don't know. I feel like there might be something. Could be something.
All right, listen, Robbie, very quickly, Robbie has some housekeeping. He needs to tell the rumbling people.
We got to pop Robbie on?
Yeah, put him in.
Okay.
Yep, just real quick, just about the Rumble Premium shows. So I have to run them as a live stream, but it's not really a live stream. It's all a pre-recording, and it's one of these you have to kind of do. And the reason why I want to bring this up is I have to do it all manually. It's not something that I'm able to automate. And so yesterday's video that we did with Lionel, I highly recommend it. It was a fun hit. I'm going to stream that today. But for those of you who don't miss it, who don't catch it live, it doesn't really matter because it's not really a live stream. And what I'm going to do to make it easier for y'all to find it, I'm going to make a playlist called TMI Premium Episodes. So if you go up to the top, click on where that playlist shows up, you'll be able to see all of our premium hits that we don't miss anything, and it'll all be sorted in by date. And that's all I've got.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Okay. Thank you for the update.
What else are we talking about today?
So we'll be talking about that as the main topic, but we'll get you the updates out of Boulder, Colorado, and the 45-year-old man there that was trying to attack old Jewish grannies. There's a slight update there for his.
He did attack old
well,
Jewish grannies.
He did. He was trying to get more people. We'll give you the details on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple updates out of this Operation Spiderweb that Zelensky is all over any camera that'll have him, that'll host him. Of course, never to be missed. He doesn't care if you're doing like a live stream with your iPhone. Does not care.
He's going to be on OnlyFans soon.
Dude will be there. So just be careful if you guys are walking around the streets in Kiev doing some live stream. President Zelensky may just photobomb you because, he likes the camera. So we're going to give you an update as to what's going on there. The most breaking news out of that is just moments ago, Kiev confirms. Now, I need to wait for other people to confirm this, but Kiev is confirming that they have just bombed the Crimean Bridge. I thought they bombed that a couple of years ago, Ted.
They did.
And then the Russians repaired it, I guess.
They
bombed it out.
The Russians repaired it very quickly at the time. Yeah. I don't know. Seriously, I think it was like literally a matter of like a week or something.
Yeah. Ted, we have bridges here in DC that I do not cross. And I've been here 11 years. And never been repaired. Potholes that'll like sink whole, F-150s. Just still not repaired.
Sure.
Still not repaired.
Up here in my neck of the woods, I don't know if you've heard this story. Interstate 80, which is one of the biggest highways in the United States, you can drive it directly from the George Washington Bridge in New York City all the way to San Francisco across the Bay Bridge, and without encountering a light. Anyway, it is currently closed in all directions for who knows how long, maybe months. And has been now for, I think, the better part of a month or maybe longer, because there are sinkholes. So it turns out that they built the highway over a bunch of mines, old iron mines that have been there since the 19th century. And the morons who built the highway, I guess, didn't check, didn't know, didn't look, didn't figure it out. And due to climate change, there's been a lot more precipitation in recent years than previously. So the mine started to collapse, created the sinkhole. And so so basically, like some cars like bye-bye deep into the ground. I don't know if anyone died, but it was a big deal.
Wild.
So and they don't know when they're going to, it's kind of like one of those, they don't even know where it all is. You know what I mean? Like there's no map of these mines. They have to spelunk and figure it out.
That's wild. But yeah, the Russians don't roll like that. Nor do the Chinese, which is anytime something messes up, they just boom, 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 done. It's fixed. So the Crimean Bridge 2.0, it's been, apparently Kiev says it's been completely collapsed. That's what they say.
Yeah, all right.
Well, we'll see. It just broke.
It's not like that's not verifiable.
Right. So, somebody will put up some footage. So we'll give you some updates about what's happening with this Operation Spiderweb. And then, of course, we're going to get to this bloody story.
It is a bloody story. Like
right out
of True Blood. We'll have to mention that.
Yeah, I didn't really watch that. So if you make references,
I will. I'll explain the reference for people.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. I'm just not. Mm-hmm. I don't know much about like pop culture coolness anymore. I kind of stopped in like the year 2000.
Oh, really? For most people, it's just like they stop. They have kids, and then maybe, I don't know. It's funny, when I had my kid, one of my friends said, who had a kid 2 years earlier, said, "So Ted, there's a thing called Netflix. And now that you're going to be home all the time and will never go to the movie theater ever again, you need to subscribe." And that was true.
That is true. Years back, Ted, when Netflix first launched as one of those red boxes in front of 7-Eleven.
Yep. Or supermarkets.
Or supermarkets, yes. But I remember mine was at 7-Eleven, and I would go, I could swipe my credit card and get DVDs. Like, right? Oh, okay, cool. And also then they did the mail service. So anyway, going way back then, I used to imagine that one day, why can't we just watch all of this stuff like on demand through the interwebs? Why doesn't the TV do that? And, fast forward 20 years, here we are. It's just par for the course. And here, literally, you and I are. Streaming is the new norm. So, yeah, why would I need to go to movie theaters or whatever? Like, I just, too much effort. Like you said, Ted, after you become a parent.
Yep, no question.
Anyway, with that, let us hop over to the news.
Okay, a dude posing as a gardener to get close to that group in Boulder who were holding their demo.
News reporter Alex Stone is in.
Of Israeli hostages in Gaza, had planned to kill them all with Molotov cocktails. But according to the cops, he had second thoughts and only threw 2 out of the 18 Molotov cocktails that he had prepared into the group of about 20 people. So I suppose we should be grateful that it wasn't even worse. He yelled "Free Palestine" and then accidentally set himself on fire. Genius. 12 people were injured in the attack. Initially, we had heard 8. He had gasoline in a backpack sprayer. I guess it's sort of like one of those sprayers that they, that like the bug guy uses to spray the lawn.
Gardeners, like when they spray for bugs in your plants.
Exactly.
That's what he was apparently what he had.
But he told the cops that he didn't spray it on anyone but himself because he had planned on dying. He said he had to do it. He should do it. And he would not forgive himself if he did not do it. The cops wrote in their report. He did not carry out his full plan, quote, because he got scared and had never hurt anyone before.
So
end quote.
Here's the report. Here's the report out of this is from back home in Los Angeles. Which I there's a lot of good local news outlets, Ted, because I have worked at local news. There's a lot of great local news outlets, but I think one of the more stellar ones, and I'm not partial to them just because it's from LA, but speaking as a journalist, like they are really good at ABC7 Los Angeles. They are very.
Is that what Trisha Toyota was? You remember her?
I think so.
She even had a famous punk song named after her by the Dickies. Stuck in a pagoda with Trisha Toyota. I just heard the song, and then I went to LA, and there she was on the air, and I'm like, wait, that's real?
This one. I think it's this one. Yeah, I think it was this channel. But anyway, I trust them journalistically, and they filed a really good, succinct report. So I thought I'd give a shout out to the folks back home at ABC7 and roll their video.
In Boulder, and has more on the alleged attacker's day in court as 4 additional victims were identified.
Making his first appearance in a Boulder County courtroom, 45-year-old Mohammed Solomon is now charged, including with federal hate crime counts.
Mr. Solomon stated that he had been planning this attack for a year. And he acted because he hated what he called the Zionist group.
At the scene of the attack today, city crews using pressure washers to clean off burn marks left behind by the makeshift flamethrower and Molotov cocktail-type devices Solomon is accused of using to attack his victims.
And when he was interviewed about the attack, he said he wanted them all to die. He had no regrets, and he would go back and do it again.
Authorities say there were at least 12 victims. 2 remain hospitalized, critically injured, but they are expected to survive. The Department of Homeland Security says Solomon is in the country illegally after overstaying a work permit. In a social media post responding to the attack, President Trump writing, "It will not be tolerated." Witnesses retelling what it was like as Solomon allegedly attacked the group during a pro-Israel march.
I saw fire, I saw people falling and screaming and crying and tripping.
The attack in Boulder coming only 2 weeks after 2 Israeli embassy staff members were shot and killed in Washington, and weeks after the firebombing attack on the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania.
So that was it. And by the way, this dude, Ted, if Trisha Toyota in that era, this guy was there. This guy has been an anchor at ABC7 since I was a child.
Wow.
So this guy's been there forever.
Well, he looks good.
He doesn't seem to age.
He's not. He doesn't look long in the tooth. He's a little gray on the sides, but who among us can't say that?
Me, I don't have gray hair. I had the one.
Shh, I hate you.
I
Okay.
had the one that I found pre-COVID, and I think it must have fallen out or something, but I had one.
My first
That-
gray hair was a pube
don't
when I
gray.
was like, I don't know, 35. And I was like, what's that doing there?
Before your head?
Oh, years before my head. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Well, graying doesn't really run in my family, so there you are.
Oh,
But anyway.
you don't have like the old like white-haired Asian grannies in your family?
They had my grandma had just a few streaks in some strategic places.
Apparently, this is giving us this convo has led us to an ad.
Okay.
Robbie,
Must have been the pubes.
Yeah, it's the pubes. Can't have enough pubes, I always say. As someone who came of age in the 70s.
What?
No shaving. No shaving. Okay,
Oh my
maybe
God.
trimming, a little trimming.
Landing strip.
Little trimming. little scaping. All right, here we go. All right, the sponsorship is from Rumble, one that's incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built a platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden-Harris administration. Biden did not. They held the line. They're attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They're attacked in corporate media. They're attacked by governments like France. They're attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight and you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we're just happy if you watch us on Rumble. And it is true. Rumble has been there for us at times when no one else was.
Yes.
So
anyway, back to
yeah, so
Mr.
this
Solomon.
attack, Mr. Solomon. Mm-hmm. By the way, there's still no evidence of that he's anti-Semitic. There's according to the police report itself, he did not say or do anything that indicated.
Well, apparently,
that
he got a hot Asian judge lady.
Oh, did he? That he disliked Jews.
Toyota
He said he was anti-Zionist. So
yeah, but they the media likes to conflate the two on purpose.
They do.
So we don't know yet what the chemical compound was in his hand there, but what he has there are like brunch style orange juice carafes.
Oh, really? Those aren't like from far away. It looked to me like they were like Windex bottles.
No, they're actually glass carafes, and he had like red.
Oh, so those are the
rag.
Molotov cocktails.
Yeah, these are the cocktails, and behind him right here, that is that backpack sprayer. So he didn't continue to wear it. So one, he meant to martyr himself.
Yes.
So Ted, there's more details that are in the rundown if you want to look at what they're charging him with.
Yeah. Let's get into that. All right. Federal and state prosecutors filed separate criminal cases against Solomon. They charged him with hate crime and attempted murder, but respectively. By the way, I'm against the whole idea of hate crime. Just, attempted murder is good enough. He faces additional state charges related to the incendiary devices. More charges are possible in federal court, where the DOJ will seek a grand jury indictment. I'm also against this trying the same person for the same incident in two separate courts. That's what they did to Luigi. That's bullshit. Mm-hmm. That's double jeopardy. One or the other. Choose your venue. During a state court hearing Monday, Solomon appeared briefly via video link from Boulder County Jail, wearing his orange jumpsuit as opposed to his usual topless look that we got used to already. Another court hearing is set for Thursday. This way he can't play off on his looks and try to seduce the judge. Solomon is being held on $10 million cash-only bond. FBI affidavit says Solomon confessed and told the cops that he was driven by a desire to kill all Zionist people, a reference to the movement to establish and protect a Jewish state in Israel, which has now become a movement to destroy and kill all the Palestinians in Gaza. Solomon, who was born in Egypt, moved to Colorado Springs 3 years ago, where he lived with his wife and 5 kids, according to state court documents. He previously had been living in Kuwait for 17 years. McLaughlin said Solomon filed for asylum in 2022, was granted a work permit in March 2023, and that had expired. DHS did not immediately respond to requests for additional information. Just want to say, I was right yesterday when I said that he'd only been illegal for 2 months. His work permit expired 2 months ago in March.
So his 2023, what was the expiration?
That was a 2-year permit. 2-year permit.
Oh, he got a permit from 2023
for 2 years. Yeah, it's a little confusing.
Okay, so this is what's on screen is how he was seen by the judge, Nancy Salomon.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I mean, COVID's over. Why didn't they drag his topless ass into court?
Well, he's got the jumpsuit on. He's got injuries. So what I found interesting was that he's first of all, he's my age, Ted. He's 45. I mean, I just got to say, good job, jeans.
Although you might not look as good if you just been on fire. Just saying.
I'm Ted. Come on, dude. Dude looks like
giving new meaning to the word hot. Yeah.
Stress. Mm-hmm. Dude, I mean, this is, come on. We're both 1980 babies. Come on. Look at this.
Well, he was on fire right before this photo.
That's not why he looks like that. He has.
No, I mean, he was like a matinee idol before this incident.
He looks rough.
I'm getting a little aroused. I may have to go.
Oh my God. With his shirtless look. So that's the first thing I noticed was, are we sure he's 45? Number one. Number two, why was he in Kuwait for 17 years?
Oh, probably for work, I would imagine, right? That's why people go to Kuwait.
Is it?
You lived out there. You know how the Gulf states be. Those people don't work at all. They just hire slaves from other countries to come and work for them.
Lower class Muslims to come.
Yeah, in this case, an Egyptian dude, right? That's
I didn't meet many Egyptians when I was out. The Egyptians I met were businessmen in Dubai. So usually the workers were like Bengali or other subcontinental Asian is what I tend to have met in Dubai. So this guy, okay, so he was there for a long time. He has 5 kids that I presume he toted with him when he came to the U.S. because I saw some of the
not always
the info. Some of the info was saying that some of them are teenagers. A couple of them were teenagers. So he toted a couple with him from Kuwait. Now, but if he's seeking refugee status, why? What is the refuge like? What would qualify him as a refugee is my question. Coming from Kuwait in 17 years.
Well, refugee status, Manila, is definitely and it is a scam in many cases, right? Like right now, the Trump administration just got rid of refugee status for the people from Cuba. There's no reason why people can't live in Cuba. Cuba's awesome. We go to vacation there. It's gorgeous. It's like great. It's ridiculous. My most extreme example, from 1991 to 1994, I worked in the admissions office at Columbia University. Now, you know what? Manila, you're a student of history. You remember what happened in 1991? The biggest thing that happened in 1991 in the world.
Soviet Union?
The Soviet Union was no more. It collapsed. And yet, I had students who were admitted to Columbia University and got a full free ride as political refugees from, the USSR, a country that, didn't exist anymore. So literally your tax dollars were paying to send guys who, for the most part, had plenty of money for free on your dime, because that's something you don't know. Like they get free college tuition. So even at an Ivy League school, if they go to like Harvard, they get like $100,000 a year. And like, so the thing is, if they get admitted, and like these people, it was like, oh my God, like I had just finished going back to school for my senior year. I had to pay everything out of pocket. I made like $28,000 a year. I had to pay everything. But these fuckers who like they're fleeing from a non-existent political system, communism, from a non-existent country, the USSR. Like, what? So, I mean, the system is very fucked up.
So were they then themselves commies?
No,
and they're like,
no,
our
no,
party
no, no.
isn't there anymore, so we
No,
need
see,
to come.
Manila, you're
here?
thinking it through. There was no thinking here. This is the federal government. They basically had set this thing up, and it was just running of its own accord, like, just like it's just inertia. Like,
So like, that's
no
the
one
thing.
thought
Like
to get rid of the program.
like with this guy, when he applied for refugee status recently before his work visa expired. Well, one, why are we giving this dude a work visa? What was he, like some Amazon programmer? Like what kind of freaking work visa did this guy have? Number one.
That's a good question.
Number two, he is an Egyptian national. Last I checked, Egypt was still intact. Like everything seems fine in Egypt. So why would he need refugee status? From what? What is he running from in Egypt?
That's a good question. I'm trying to find that out right now.
And the last place of residence of nearly 20 years was Kuwait. Last time I checked, Kuwait seemed pretty stable, after Bush 1 left office. So I don't know. I don't get why this dude was able to apply for a work visa unless he's some sort of like, Bill Gates style Microsoft genius, or I don't know. What is he, some H-1B tech visa guy? Why is he here? And why can he apply for refugee status when neither places that he was coming from, his country of origin, peaceful, his last country of residence, peaceful? Why are you here, bro?
Yeah, I don't understand, by the way, like why so you're funny. He worked as an Uber driver.
Brilliant. We need more of those, Ted.
Yeah. I mean, talk about like also, in the same way that like refugee status for a non-existent country is solving a problem that doesn't exist. Uber is solving a problem that didn't exist. There were taxis before Uber and Lyft. Taxis existed. I know, because I drove one for 8 years. I drove several for 8 years. And then these industries came along and just
crowded the marketplace.
And basically they put random people, just Joe Schmo, Jane Schmo, just driving people around. Like, I was trained as a taxi driver. I had to take a test that I failed the first time. I had to know New York City inside and out. I was trained how to fix my car in case it broke down. I knew how to change.
And let me tell you, Ted,
change a tire. These guys are like
giving props to you guys as a professional taxi driver. I've never ever in my millions of taxi rides in my adult life, I've never once felt sleazed upon by a cabbie. I've never felt like anybody was being inappropriate.
Well, I mean, that can happen, but you're right.
I'm sure
it's less likely. It's less likely.
But I've personally have never experienced it. However, in the early days of Uber, when I first moved to DC, that's when I started using Uber, and it was still fairly new, like 11 years ago. I would say 2 out of every 5 rides I would get would be some dude, some Uber driver guy,
aggressing you, as the French would say.
And if he was dropping me off at my apartment, or picking me up from, and they gave me, they hit on me flat out.
That's so
another
unprofessional.
Another guy showed back up in front of my apartment building and waited for me. And back then I was still smoking cigarettes, and I came out and I was like,
oh God.
Weren't you my Uber driver last night? Like, what the fuck? Yeah. So needless to say, I just I went back to hailing cabs because.
Wow.
I just want to say that the level of racism and xenophobia that the two of you are showing right now is
so true.
It's over the pale. You two should be ashamed. You're nativist bastards, both of you. Listen, Ted, you should be glad that those taxi jobs have been outsourced to illegal migrants and refugees who have been brought here, because frankly, they're doing the jobs that Americans are too stupid and unqualified to do. Isn't that right, Vivek Ramaswamy? I mean, So you should be thankful that we have qualified migrants and refugees who are coming in, taking American jobs, driving wages down because the corporations, they need those profits. And the fact that you two are being such dickheads right now is it's appalling.
I'm
I don't know if I'll be able
Robbie,
to. I don't know if I'm going to
forgive us at all. Do you think?
I'll have to think about it. I mean,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean, no, if one of those solution,
I want to be a good liberal.
Just close the borders, deport every last damn one of them. This is so easy. I mean, this is the easiest problem to fix. And the fact that
seriously,
we can't do it.
Again, I bet if we go back to March 2023, I bet the unemployment rate in Colorado is not 0. I bet that. I bet that's true, right? And I bet there's someone in March 2023 who would have been happy to go and drive an Uber who wasn't able to get that job. I bet that's true too. Or drive a taxi in like Boulder. So, I liked driving a cab. It's a good job for someone who's kind of like a loner like me.
No.
It
sucks.
That's why I have many questions about this guy, given the country of origin, the last country of residence, what he did for a living.
It's not like any of the 9/11 hijackers were from Egypt. Only 4. So, that doesn't count.
Oh, and the rest were Saudis, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
which is why we invaded Afghanistan and Iraq.
Listen, now you're going to add Islamophobia onto your list.
Let me add another.
This is insane.
So we're all the phobias on this show. If you didn't already know, we're
phobias.
Am I the phobia? I'm pretty sure I'm the phobia.
I mean, being phobic.
You are.
Listen, the two of you are far more open-minded than I am. I'm pretty sure I'm the phobia.
So look, this guy, he also, I think I read that he also admitted, I don't know why he's admitting all of this stuff
because he's an idiot.
Court.
He's not listening to his lawyer.
So his public defender, lawyer, but he said in court papers, it's documented. He said, they asked him, well, why Molotov cocktails? And he was like, well, I had already taken concealed carry classes and I wanted to go buy a pistol, but they wouldn't let me because I'm not a citizen.
Well, okay. Well, that's good. I'm
so
okay.
The
that's
dude
fine.
wanted to commit a mass shooting. That was his preference. I'm inferring this from the statement, but he wanted to commit a mass shooting, but couldn't do it because of his illegal status. So he opted for Molotov cocktails that he'd been planning on for the past year.
Well, he obviously doesn't watch the news because all he has to do is just pay attention to what happens in Germany, for example. There are better ways to do this of people standing on the side of a road.
Ways. Robbie's trying to give him tips on more effective ways.
Yeah, let's not say what those are right now.
No. Yeah, let's not do that.
No, that'd be a Rumble
Robbie's
exclusive.
Look, this dude obviously isn't aware of the American way. This is how you know he's too fresh off the boat. All you have to go to is any ghetto, any hood.
Hold on. Are you saying that the Middle East? Are you saying, Manila, that the Middle East is not sitting their best and their brightest? I mean, here you are again shaming these people. These are Manila. They are coming here for a better life, do the jobs that Americans will not do, and you should be ashamed for what you're doing.
Considering he was in Colorado Springs. That's where he lived, and he traveled.
By the way, it must have just been, honestly, I just want to say some sympathy for the victims here. That must have been absolutely horrifying to be hit with a Molotov cocktail.
Oh my God. And you're a little old lady. Oh my God.
Well, I don't care how old you are. I mean, that's no fun, right? To be covered with burning
like fire bombs.
But it's even worse being a little old lady. One of them was an old lady that survived the freaking Holocaust as a child.
Of course.
She was a Holocaust survivor, little old granny. But anyway, all this guy had to do, he's coming from Colorado Springs, not far from where those Venezuelan gangs took over those apartment complexes. If he wanted a gun and he got denied, all you have to do is go to like one of these Venezuelan gangs and be like, dude, I will give you 500. Give me gun. And voila, you have a gun. That's how this works.
Thanks for the tip, Manila.
Yeah.
But that's how that works. Like in the hood, you just literally roll up to any kids on the street and they'll direct you on how to get a gun. Like that's how it works in the ghetto. Like you really
in the ghetto.
It's true. I mean, I grew up in a neighborhood like that. You can roll up to whoever's hanging out at the curb and be like, hey, I need blah, blah, blah. You know where I can score some.
Well, I mean,
sure. Come this way,
like
Junebug. Rest in peace. I know Junebug.
Well, not to mention the dude was an Uber driver, right? So Uber drivers meet everyone.
Yeah,
So he must have had some sketchy dudes in his car. I mean, when I was a cabbie for years, I was always asked about sketchy things like, oh, where can I get prostitutes? Where can, where can I score drugs? Like what are the best nightclubs? What are the best, whatever.
They ask cabbies these.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Think about it. I mean, cabbies know everything. They know everything.
Oh.
Especially if you drive at night, where everyone is, what everyone's doing.
They're hey, Ted,
you know the city like the back of your
hand. Cruise me up to where all the ladies of the night are.
Yeah, I mean, and you get some pretty funny. One time I had a really funny. I mean, I could just tell cab stories. We could just do a show just on my cab stories. But I mean, just every day we could just do my cab stories. But there was a guy getting my cab. He was definitely kind of a dork from out of town. Obviously, had never been to New York before. He's like, gives me an address like way up in central Harlem. And bear in mind, this is the 1980s. And, now Harlem is gentrifying and has been gentrifying for quite some time. A lot of white people live there. At the time, though, central Harlem was absolutely terrifying. I mean,
sure.
I had a colleague who was killed in a robbery up there. And his body sat in his cab for several days in the heat of summer, rotting. And nobody bothered to call the police. No one cared. Everyone saw him. He was at a major intersection. So that's how it was. Anyway, the guy's like, I'm like, okay, I'll take you. And then I'm like, on the way up, I'm like, are you staying up there? And he's like, well, what do you mean? I go, well, what are you doing up there? I mean, why are you going there? If you don't mind my asking. And then he's just sort of like not answering. And he's like, can I ask you a question? What kind of neighborhood is that? And I said,
what?
And I'm like, not a good neighborhood. And then he's like, really? How bad? I'm like, very bad. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so going to kill my friends. They told me to go to this address and and to get out of a cab and I'd have an awesome time in the middle of the night, that there was all sorts of nightlife there. And I'm like, your friends almost got you killed.
Oh my God. That's not a nice prank.
No, it's not. It's really not funny at all.
Yeah.
No, we definitely need to have a cabbie time story hour.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cab time story hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I have tales. That might be a Rumble exclusive because
100%.
A lot of these are NC-17 stories.
Ooh, well,
no, I'm good with that.
I can't even imagine. All right. I thought Robbie would have get a kick out of all my questioning. I'm not shitting. I mean, I'm not exactly shitting on this guy. I'm just pointing out these very relevant questions.
Well, these are the questions that people on my side of the aisle have. I mean, seriously, all joking aside, why is he here? Why is this whole fucking family here?
It's a legitimate question.
Why are they here?
Literally, the guy came on a tour. He came on a tourist visa. That's fine. Go see the Grand Canyon.
Sure.
Whatever.
Take your 5 kids. Go look at
Cincinnati and check out the chili. But then your tourist visa is over. Get the fuck out, right? That's what we do.
Applied for refugee
if I go to any country, I have a visa for a certain amount of time. Oh, I'm diligent about being on the plane before my visa expires, right? So why would he? And then it's like, oh, I don't feel like going. Oh, Uber's hiring. Oh, okay. Oh, don't worry, man. We got you. We'll get you a permit. Really? Why? Why would Uber do that? Why would they be able to do that? I mean, Robbie's right. And this is not, it's a common sense question. It's not a left versus right question. It's a law question is what it is.
Let's wrap that last comment, Robbie.
It's like the pictures that you shared on the chat about the old money back when we used to be a serious country. That's how you know we're no longer a serious country. We don't control our borders. I mean, we got this guy here. His wife is here. His 5 spawn are here. My question is why are they here? I mean, no one can give me an answer. But if you ask that question, well, they're not tourists anymore. I mean, they live here. So my question is why don't we just send the whole damn tribe of them back to Egypt from which they spawned and have a good life? Enjoy. Egypt can have their migrants back.
they will look into that.
I mean,
So
we'll disagree
see.
about. I think each case is different, Robbie. I mean, I think this guy, there's no reason for him to be here. I don't know.
I completely agree.
I mean, I do think that people who showed up under the stupid Biden open border policy and followed all the rules. I mean, you might not like the rules that
rules aren't laws,
made,
Ted.
But they
rules
were
are not laws.
But they were Biden's rules. And to what extent it's sort of like the speed limit might be 55, but if it's not enforced vigorously, people really drive 65, right? So it's like that. And so, the president has some discretion about which laws to enforce and how. And so, Biden decided just let these people in. They did everything they were told to do. I think those people are a different category than this.
Well, on that point, then on that point, I'll go back to producer land. The people who are crying and complaining about Trump ignoring judges need to shut their mouths because they're showing their hypocrisy. If Biden ignores the law and brings in millions and millions and millions of people that drive down the wages of working class people, that hurts the entire freaking country, you then no longer get to stand up on your soapbox and complain about Trump ignoring judges. Piss all the way off.
All right. That's that. Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you, Robbie. We'll see you soon. Okay, let's keep going. All right. You don't have the cards. President Trump dismissively told Zelensky when they met in the Oval Office in February. Now Zelensky has played a hand of his own, a new hand. The drone operation that we're all talking about, Operation Spiderweb, is being called Russia's Pearl Harbor by pro-Russian bloggers. And military experts are saying it's forcing national defense experts to rethink everything. So Ukraine, obviously, what they did is they used low-cost drones. They smuggled them across the border in a truck, drove them about 2,700 miles up to Siberia, and then unleashed them against an air base, well, a couple of air bases up in the Arctic Circle, and fucked up a lot of Russian planes. So this has a lot of implications for the future of war. By the way, Trump hasn't commented yet, but we do know that the Ukrainians did not consult with him first. I know that this was against Biden's rules. Like Biden had said, you're not allowed to attack deep in Russia.
Inside,
so, I would imagine Trump probably had a similar opinion about that, but I don't know. But anyway, as Trump influencers are talking about possibility of World War III, the Ukrainians said they had no choice really because they're not getting a lot of new air weapon defense systems. The Russians are bombing like crazy and they're advancing in their lines. Russia said
Trump
no to a 30-day
a
unconditional ceasefire.
But we should point out Trump did just give Ukraine a few Patriot missile battery kits.
That's true. Yep. But that's not really a new type of system. They always want new toys,
Spoiled brat.
Trump complained about Putin for not agreeing to the ceasefire. So far, though, there's no sign of any new sanctions against Russia. I don't think we will see any either. Trump is getting also a little impatient with Russia and Ukraine, and he's thinking more about the Pacific Rim. Pete Hegseth, DOD Secretary, said at a security conference, yes, the quite honorable and very vigilant about his the personal privacy as the privacy of classified information, said that a Chinese invasion of Taiwan could be imminent. Yeah, and
imminent.
Clovis
that's very different.
Could be a dog, but that's probably not true. Ukraine's battlefield creativity continues to reshape things. I mean, this is really a big drone war now, and it's the first big drone war. Anyway, Operation Spiderweb is now raising some dumb new alarms about the supposed threat of commercial infrastructure. For example, the Chinese might develop a launcher that they could put inside a shipping container to aboard merchant ships. That's something that came out of the Pentagon.
Because China's going to attack us? Like, that's what
this is like
is
the
trying
crap.
to...
Remember the shipping container paranoia after 9/11 too? Grow up.
Stupid.
China's not attacking the U.S. They're eating our lunch financially. They don't need to attack us.
But look, I honestly, let me say this, Ted. I really think the reason Hegseth, I think he's being directed to say, look over there, China, 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 because there's no movement on the whole Russia-Ukraine side.
That's right.
So Trump needs somebody to distract.
He needs to win.
And Hegseth is obviously the carnival barker. Look, China, bro, China.
Totally.
They might have bombs in those container things on the ships, bro. Let's go check those things out.
Absurd.
Bro. And I really think that's what's going on here is just they're trying to go for the distraction and not really because Trump knows he's got nothing there. Because seriously, who Ted? Give me a serious person from the DOD or somebody that is a serious analyst like a Doug McGregor or something like that can tell me seriously, the United States of America is actually afraid of an attack coming from China. It's just that's not going to happen. China doesn't want to attack us. They don't care about attacking us. They just want to do business. That's it.
All. That's
it.
That's true.
But I don't know, like, what? It's so stupid.
Finally, last but not least, clinical trials are set to explore the use of universal artificial blood in Japan after initial volunteer doses began in March. So here's what's going on. There's a guy named Professor Hiromi Sakai. He has a lab in Japan. And he's basically assessing the viability of fake blood, artificial blood. So here's what's cool about it. It's usable for all blood types, which means, there's no longer any concern like, oh, you have a weird blood type, like, AB negative, and you can't get anyone to donate except for AB negatives and O positives. This is like, it goes for everyone. And it's also not necessary. It can be stored at room temperature. So it can go to countries like in the third world, in the developing world, where refrigeration is hard to come by. And there's a lot of shortages in other countries. So there's been other studies looking at fake blood, including here in the US and in the UK. But this is a particularly promising one. The WHO says that there's over 118 million blood donations every year, which is good. But 40% of them come from rich countries, which have about 16% of the population. And that blood stays in those countries. It doesn't go to other countries. So universal fake blood could reduce preventable deaths in injury, surgery, and childbirth, whereas there's supply mismatches or there's just not enough stock in the low-income countries. So Nara Medical University administered between 100 and 400 milliliters of fake blood to 16 adult volunteers in March.
Healthy.
The next step is
adults.
Yes. The next step is to examine the treatment's efficacy and safety. There were some minor side effects, fever and rash, but they resolved quickly. So that looks okay. And obviously they'll be working to even mitigate those. Anyway, this would solve a lot of problems, like the possibility of infection, blood type mismatching, immunological response, and short shelf life, which we talked about here. So here's how they made it. They extracted hemoglobin, which is the molecule that carries oxygen through your blood, from expired donor blood, old blood or more than 3 weeks old. Normally, they would have thrown it away, and they encapsulated it in a lipid shell known as hemoglobin vesicles. These particles sort of pretend to be natural red blood cells and can carry oxygen. They also don't have any blood type markers at all, so that's why they're universally compatible, and they don't carry any viruses. Anyway, this continues a trial from 3 years ago when artificial hemoglobin vesicles were tested to determine if they carry oxygen the same way that red blood cells do. So far, so good. Manila, so you don't know this story, but back in 1984, I required a blood transfusion. And basically, the long story is I had a wart on my chest. The root grew into my artery, and then the artery popped like a cork in the middle of the night. So I looked like something out of a Quentin Tarantino movie, like sploosh, sploosh, sploosh. And so I lost 8 pints of blood. I was brought to the ER. They thought I'd been shot, and when they figured out what was going on, they decided they came to me and they said, okay, so you need a transfusion, and so please sign here. And so what they were explaining was it was 1984. Half of the nation's blood supply had not yet been screened for what they were still calling AIDS. So, and I was like,
God.
so, and of course, and they explained that to me, and they said, we need you to sign the release. Understand you may get AIDS from this. And
Oh my God.
50-50 chance. So I was like, oh, so what happens if I don't sign? And they said, who's your next of kin so that we can notify them? So I'm like, pen. So for years, I was terrified that I might have gotten AIDS. Now the testing is, of course, right away. You
Sure.
take a blood test. At the time, they didn't really know about the testing, how to do it. You had to go every year and see if you had contracted HIV.
Right.
So it was pretty terrifying. Obviously, I guess I got the head and not the tail when on the coin flip, and here I am. But so this topic that you brought up, Manila, was of great interest to me, and it also is reminiscent of this HBO show. Was it HBO? It might not have been. True Blood. I think it's HBO.
I think it was HBO. Yeah.
And anyway, so in True Blood, which is based on a series of novels, it takes place in a future when vampires are real and they've come out of the crypt, out of the closet, and it's kind of a metaphor for
they're out of the closet.
Gays. They're out of the coffin, they say, and it's all a metaphor for gays. And in fact, and the way that what's made that possible is they no longer have to kill humans because they've synthesized fake blood that's sold over the counter so that vampires can drink True Blood, which is not.
So there's
blood.
That's what. Is that what it's called? True Blood?
True Blood is the product, like Coca-Cola. It's sold at like convenience stores. And so vampires can live openly because they no longer have to, attack people.
But were there that many vampires?
According to in the universe of the show, there are many vampires. Yes.
Oh, okay. I've seen a couple episodes, but I never followed the show. I've just seen it here and there. Only because Alexander Skarsgård is hot.
Yes, he is. That's true.
Yeah, that is a nice specimen. But other than that, not really into vampire stuff. But I didn't understand. I didn't know that's what True Blood was they had synthetic blood. So that's crazy that this is kind of happening. But yeah, I mean, for me, I don't see any ethical worries. I don't know if Robbie can think of any. I think this is an amazing medical advancement. I think this is why it's sheer horror to see the Trump administration shed so much money from HHS. They're cutting so many things from HHS because why aren't we advancing this? Why is Japan? I mean, Japan, let's be honest, is living in the year 2050. Let's be real. They've got like, Ted, I don't know when the last time you were there. I've never been there, but I've seen video.
So
I've seen video from Japan in that big busy intersection that people always show like in movies and stuff, that big busy intersection in Tokyo.
Oh God. Yeah. It's like the Times Square of Tokyo. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That they have now put in these sort of plates that people, when you walk over them, they kind of go up and down and wiggle and wobble, and it wiggles and wobbles because underneath, every time they get pressed, they're creating energy and they're getting electricity from that. That's amazing. Brilliant.
That's
from
cool.
People
it's called the Shibuya Crossing, by the way.
Shibuya Crossing. That's the one. So they started, because so many millions of feet just go stomp, stomp, stomp. They figured out a way to turn that into electricity. So they installed a couple chunks of pads so millions of feet are walking across it and they're creating little bits of electricity. So every footstep was something like 5 seconds worth of a burst of electricity, like a light bulb burst, basically. So you have millions of people. This is Japan living in 2050. We, on the other hand, are increasing DoD spend, but granted, DoD spend does go into stuff like DARPA that creates stuff like the internet and stuff. They
Sure.
do create really great scientific stuff that comes out of DARPA, but also some really terrifying things that come out of DARPA,
Like robot
like
dogs.
super soldier shit,
Mhm.
very crazy, scary stuff, some good science stuff. But for the rest of us who aren't super soldiers, cutting HHS funding, which then proliferates into, let's say, CDC studies or other studies, other studies that we might be doing with the WHO, jumping out of the WHO. This is something that like we should be further along in. But the Japanese scientists are, again, living in 2050, and we are stuck in Y2K. We haven't really advanced all that much other than maybe artificial intelligence, but this is all commercialized shit. What about the real stuff like this that should be helping the masses of Americans, especially as I used to be a volunteer with the Red Cross and like organizing blood drives and stuff when I was younger. And ever since the 90s, we have really declined in the amount of numbers of people that are willing to donate blood. And part of it, Ted, most of our society is no longer applicable to donate blood, because you can't donate blood if you've had a tattoo in the last 5 years. That's one of the rules. So many people have tattoos now.
It used to be if you were gay, you couldn't donate blood.
Right. Now you can't donate if you've had tattoo work done in the past 5 years. So the rules have changed. And so now that tattoos are like the norm, especially getting them like on your freaking cheek or whatever, that beautiful cheek art a la Mike Tyson is making you ineligible to donate blood. Even if you have like your heart's in the right place, you want to do it, you're not applicable to apply. You can't apply for 5 years since your last one. And I want to bring up one more thing, Ted, while we're talking about blood before we run out of time for the hour. Another blood story I want to share.
Another thing, I think work at home is also impacting blood drives, because a lot of corporations used to organize blood drives at the office, and it would be like, oh, hey guys, next week we have a blood drive. Red Cross is coming over. Go over to the conference room. Everybody do it.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of that too. But I have another interesting blood story that I was going to drop as a surprise on you and Robbie, because you boys might be, ew, gross. Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
And the listeners, ready? This right here. The untapped potential of stem cells in menstrual blood. That's new science.
I didn't know that stem cells were in menstrual blood.
I didn't either. But upon learning about the Nara University blood stuff, I stumbled across this story and I went, what on earth?
All right, so tell us about it.
Here's the surprise study. And again, Ted, unfortunately, it's not here in America. It's in Australia. Mm-hmm. The Australians, the Aussies, they suffer from a lot of like shark bites, Ted. You got to replace arms.
They're preparing to move to Florida and take meth.
That is true. So
you got to toughen yourself up. I mean, little alligator never killed anyone. Just like rough and tumble.
I'm not sure who's tougher, Aussies or Floridians.
Oh,
tough.
Well, they're both crazy. So there's that. All right, let's hear.
The Aussies or Floridians sans the meth. Just saying.
Well, I think Aussies are like naturally methed.
Okay. All right. So here's the story. The untapped potential of stem cells in menstrual blood. Long overlooked, menstrual stem cells could have important medical applications, including diagnosing endometriosis. Obviously, you need a uterus for that. Sorry.
Or a deuterus if you're a trans.
That's right. If you're going the other way.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to skim through this, and what the scientists in Australia found was that the cells in women's menstrual blood, the cells were adult stem cells, rare self-renewing cells, which some of which can give rise to many different types of tissue. She and other researchers had long hypothesized that the endometrium contained stem cells, given its remarkable capacity to regrow itself each month, which, if you think about it, makes sense because our uterine lining gets flushed out every month with our cycle. So,
Yeah.
okay, so that kind of makes sense. Skimming through, but although scientists had isolated adult stem cells from many other regenerating tissues, including bone marrow, the heart, and muscle, quote, no one had identified adult stem cells in endometrium, says the scientist. So long story short is they're doing all this work with menstrual blood, and so this story, it first came out a year ago. At this point, 1 year later, they are now proving out their point that this can be, run through whatever the cycle is to regrow things, to isolate those types of cells to, I don't know, regrow heart tissue, to regrow. It can be because, stem cells are the foundation of everything that becomes everything in your body, right?
Right.
Stem cells are foundational. So she says, first, they measured the cell's ability to proliferate and self-renew and found that some of them could divide into about 100 cells within 1 week. They also showed that the cells could indeed differentiate into endometrial tissue and identified certain telltale proteins that are present in other types of stem cells. So this, our menstruation, our period blood that we flush away in a tampon every month apparently has life-saving capability, that it carries stem cells, the foundational cell to every part of your body, which I think is just mind-blowing, being that I'm the only person on this show between the three of us that has carried a human inside my body.
You don't know if Robbie and I don't have a deuterus.
I don't know that, but I assume I'm the only one of this show that has actually carried a human person.
It's time for me to come clean. That I was a cat assigned at birth.
Oh,
and now identify as a
no. I
cartoonist.
I thought you were a male human at birth and now identify as a cat.
That might be it. I get confused.
Anyway,
it's obviously this is super interesting. If you could harvest enough menstrual blood to enough stem cells, then maybe you would no longer necessitate collecting stem cells,
fetal
from
stem cells.
fetal tissue from leftover IVF procedures
or abortion remnants.
Yeah, so that this could address some of the pro-life concerns, and then also could become a source of maybe women would be able to sell their menstrual blood every month.
I thought that
the
too.
way that dudes can, with or without a uterus, can sell their jizz. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's wild, because obviously you guys have long cornered the market on selling your own batter. Now we can.
It's about time. This is equity. This is fluid equity.
I cannot believe what I accidentally bumped into in the course of research about this synthetic blood, to suddenly come across a story where it's like, okay, this has been happening to my body since I was 14 years old. So for, 30 years, little did I know that I was just plugging up stem cells in that tampon and flushing it down the toilet every month, that there's life in there.
Man, this is a plot for a horror movie, right? Like, deep in the bowels of the city, the stem cells are regenerating monsters, and they live in the sewers.
That's where the alligators come from.
This
Ted.
is where or the chuds. Remember chuds?
No.
Cannibalistic,
what's that?
humanoid, underground dwellers. Chud? You don't know about chud?
Chud.
What?
No.
It is an incredibly iconic Gen X cult movie, horror movie, taking place under the mean streets of Soho at the time, which tells you how old the story, the movie is. Because Soho was a dangerous neighborhood back then. There's cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers that come up through the sewage system and eat people.
Yes, I do remember the movie cover.
Yeah.
I see it. Yeah, I remember.
Ooh, Manila,
I remember watching it though.
There you are.
So anyway, that I love that we covered a science topic that is super cool. But don't you think it's kind of shitty that it's like everybody else is discovering this and not our scientists?
Well,
it's like scientists in Japan, scientists in Australia.
We're firing our scientists. It's like a bunch of morons.
Well, I mean, if they're Dr. Fauci, yes, fire. But there are actual good scientists that are begging for funding and they are not getting it. That are doing important work like this, as you say, Ted, yeoman's work, and they're not getting the funding. But bloviating blowhards like Dr. Fauci got all the funding, and then all the book deals, and then all the everything deals. So, but then there's people that are actually doing the grunt work that are coming across stuff like this, like stem cells in your period blood, and the Japanese scientists.
Other thing, I got to tell you, there's another huge implication to this too. If you store your own stem cells, you can they can be stored for you and then used to help you recover in the event of a medical crisis in the future.
Well, like when my son was born, I paid for the storage of his umbilical cord. I forget what it's called, but anyway. You have to pay for the storage. It's cryogenically frozen. God forbid he should ever need it for whatever. But yeah, it's umbilical cord stem cell. But up until literally
up until ice in like the back locker at Arby's.
That's right. That's where they store all the important stuff. But this, up until this point, I guess up until last year, until the Aussies discovered this, we thought that's where stem cells had to come from. We thought it had to come from your baby's umbilical cord, or from the remnants of, these abortions, or other means of collecting it directly from the start of new life. Not ever. Why would you ever think, Ted, that a woman's uterus that's shedding every month was actually regenerate? I mean, I don't know why. Now that I hear the story, it makes sense to me, because we're regenerating, our uterus is regenerating every month.
Sure.
And it's meant to be fertile ground to grow the source of human life.
This also
Holy
has
cow.
some sexual implications. Okay, so there are men who give oral sex to their partners when they're at that time of the month.
Oh.
So they're eating stem cells, and the stem cells might go into their stomach and again become like their own personal chud and grow inside. I mean, this is science. I'm sorry, but hard science. And
or you could be like, what's that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he's pregnant?
Right, exactly. It's or like that movie Rabbit Test, right? So that's what I mean. So this has implications. Like, if you're a good partner and you don't like take a couple of days off every month for oral, and really no one should take time off from oral for their partner. It is 2025. It's a right. It's a human right. It's like, but there, you might well be consuming a life.
Human stem cell.
You might be you may be a bit of a cannibal. You may be your own chud. You may be your own cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller.
Last thing I'll say, Ted, and then we'll wrap it up. A chad is it would give new meaning to the term burrito baby when you guys eat those big Chipotle burritos.
Yeah.
And your belly grows. And, was it from the night before or last week with your partner, or was it the Chipotle burrito?
Right.
Not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is. Oh wait, do we have?
We do.
Oh, Robbie says we got an ad.
This is the stuff that's generating.
We got ads.
Like a stem cell generating in my stomach.
This is crazy
in my deuterus.
Stuff. Dude, science is crazy. And this is like,
That's why it
mind-blowing.
must be prohibited. The more you know, the less you want to know. All right. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now it's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin-free and mold-free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic, a frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler that says, I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch. $170 worth of coffee and gear used for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's really actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe. I think we're done here.
All right. I think that's plenty. We'll leave it at burrito baby, period, stem
Do we have
cells.
a guest tomorrow? I forget what we're
and
talking
synthetic
about.
blood. No, later in the week we do. And it's a heavy topic. I'll explain. It's sad.
Tell us.
So our guest that we expect to have on Friday is a gentleman who lost his little boy at age 11 to suicide after being bullied for I guess
a Friday topic for sure.
No, it's a sad topic, but it it's a way to round out the end of the school year, I guess, that we joke about that, about how kids and I do believe that kids are not as tough as they used to be, like our generation, Gen X, like dude, suck it up. Like punch that little bastard if he's doing something, like stand up for yourself. I don't know why kids, I don't know. And obviously I don't want to say that about this man's child because we don't know the
we'll get the whole story.
But he now works for a foundation founded in his son's name or in his memory rather to educate children about being kinder to one another because you don't know what is happening at that kid's home.
Good.
So he's propelled his pain into doing something really good for students around the country, and he goes around and gives these talks. So he's going to talk to us on Friday about how severe this stuff actually is. But yeah, so it's not a fun Friday talk. It'll be a serious Friday talk, but it's also the end of the school year. So I thought it was a good time for us to bring it up. So that way, if you are a parent and you're watching at home, maybe talk to little Jimmy or little Jane, or maybe she's a little bitch. Maybe he's a little bully. Don't be little assholes. Don't let your kids be little assholes. That's all I got to say. Last word. And you yourself, don't be an asshole. Just chill. Don't be an asshole. I think that's a good last word. Thanks for being here.
Indeed.
And Tanks over in the Rumble chat is mad and says, women don't flush your tampons. What else are we supposed to do with our tell me what we're supposed to do with our tampons.
Good question.
I mean, where else is it supposed to? I guess now we should save it.
You're going to have to be collecting all of your
I guess now blood. I should save it. It could be very useful. I could sell it later.
Yeah. Big bucks.
No, you want one last gross story about blood before we
oh my God. Okay, yes.
Head out.
Then we go.
Okay. In my very early 20s, maybe I was 20 or 21, something like that. I had this roommate, not a girl I actually knew. I was friends with the guy, and he and she broke up, and he was like, "Please, Manila, take her in. You have a spare room. It'll split the cost of everything. Like, get her off of my ass. Like, I want her to move out. Just we're cool. She's cool. You've met her. Let her move in with you." Didn't want a roommate, but okay, fine. Anyway, she showed some weird antisocial behavior, and so one day I was off work, and I guess she went to work, but she forgot her cell phone in her room, and our doors were facing each other, opposite each other, a hallway, right? And her bed was kind of in the middle of the room, and you could walk on either side of her bed, and her cell phone kept ringing and ringing, and she was gone. I was yelling for her to pick it up, and I realized, oh, she must have left work and forgot her phone. It's ringing and ringing and ringing. So I get up, go run. I didn't want to ruin her bed and jump on it and reach for the phone. So I run around the bed to the far side of the bed to reach for the phone. And just as I'm reaching for the phone, before I put my last step down, I realize there is a pile of panties there with used pads piled up on the far side of her bed. And I always knew that I felt like there
With
was
like the pads still taped in.
Stuck on her panties.
All grotty and crusty.
All red and gross. And I always thought her room had a weird odor.
She's lucky she didn't get bugs too.
I never imagined in a million years that it would be that. So literally, you're still very athletic, right? When you're like 20 or 21 years old. So as I'm reaching for the phone and I see what's beneath my foot, I fall over to the side and fall on her bed because I didn't want to step directly into the pile of panties with used.
I bet the bed wasn't that clean either.
It was one or the other, Ted.
She's a gross lady.
So I fell over
I lived
on
in
that.
a girls' dorm.
My God.
I was one of 8 guys in a dorm with 500 women, and it appalled me how gross the women are. They just leave their gross pads there's a little container for them.
God.
They just left them on the side of the toilet. And I was like,
oh my God.
Women are grosser than men. They just are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Men are sloppy, but women can be grosser.
Women are grosser. Like they leave their gross hairballs in the drain of the shower, and you're like, what?
Guilty.
Take that shit out. What's wrong with you?
No, I gather it, and then sometimes I just forget that I've gathered it, and it's kind of right there. But anyway,
that's even worse. Gross, better to leave it in the drain.
It's gross. Period. Story, and that
right,
was.
Listen, I've got the mother of all blood stories. Call and raise. So, I get this apartment where this guy's breaking his lease, right? And long story short, he leaves the apartment a total fucking shit show. So, I come in, and it's summer, New York City, 90s, in the 1990s, and it's in the 90s. And there are thousands of roaches swarming across the floor, up the walls, on the ceiling. So I'm like, okay, this better living through chemistry. I go to I know very little Spanish, but I've learned this phrase, necesito la bomba del cucaracha. So I go to the hardware store.
Roach bomb?
Roach bombs. And they're like, it says use 1 per room. I'm like, 1 per room? This is not a 1 per room situation. This is a 4 per room situation, like Al Haig style. So I go in there. I'm like, I nuke the place, right? Like, nuke from orbit, like in Aliens, just to be sure. So anyway, I come back a couple days later, and there are thousands of dead roaches. I clean them all up, swoop them away. I clean off the resin from the roach bombs, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself. Probably have cancer, but it's worth it. So I'm coming down the stairs after all this, and this lady, older Latina lady with a really craggy face, she confronts me in the hallway. She goes, "What did you do?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What did I do?" And she's like, "They come, so many, they come." And I'm like, "What? They?" She's like, "They come through the radiator, so many, thousands." And I'm like, oh. So when I nuked when I bombed the apartment, the roaches fled through the walls and through the pipes into her apartment, like 1 floor below and diagonally adjacent. So, and I was like, because in New York City, everything's attached, right? So you have roaches, your neighbors, well, maybe you don't have roaches anymore, but now your neighbors do. So they came swarming into her apartment. All right, where's the blood related? So I move in with my girlfriend. A couple months later, I'm walking up the stairs, and I just see like she's got the roach lady is opening. People are coming and going, and the door is like enough open that as I walk by, I can see inside her apartment, right? It's open like a foot. and I look inside, and there is a blood orgy taking place. There are nude people on the floor fucking, and she's there nude, and she's decapitated a chicken, and she's spraying them all. There's mats on the floor. She's spraying the blood, all the chicken, the live chicken as it's dying, spraying its blood all over these people who are all like writhing in ecstasy as they're like in this blood orgy. And
what the
so I, of course, realized what was happening because I've lived in New York City for a long time. She's a Santeria witch. Do you know,
I was just going to say that.
She's a witch. And I was like, I remember being really scared for quite some time that I had offended a witch, like a genuine witch who's involved in some crazy ass major dark rituals, and that I roached her. And I mean, who knows? Maybe I fucked up one of her orgies because maybe she was scheduled to have a blood orgy the night of the roaches and she had to cancel. Which,
God.
This is pre-internet, would have been hard to do. So it's just sort of like, but it was like she was I had a blood orgy Santeria witch living below me, and it's like, I'm telling you, I don't like to make enemies, and I really don't like to make that kind of enemy.
I don't think your story is as gross. I think it's weird. I think it's weird.
Gross?
No, it's weird.
You
of
think
course.
fucking in dying chicken blood isn't weird? Isn't gross?
I think it's gross, but I think it's grosser when it's your roommate that has been secretly.
Boy.
No wonder every
we'll have
month.
to ask the Rumble Room which one's grosser, guys. Which one's grosser? Manila's story.
Would you rather have a roommate who I always respected her privacy?
This is a would you rather.
Yeah,
would you
I
rather.
never went into her room because I wanted to respect her privacy, but I always knew I'd always close her door because I always knew there was like a little bit of the stink coming out of there. To find out that the reason there was a stink every month was because this bitch was piling up used dirty pads and tampons still attached to her panties in a pile hidden away from view from the door, month in, month out. Is that gross?
Yes.
Or is Ted's
really
story
gross? It's
gross?
Yours. It's really gross. No question.
I almost stepped in her gross used pads. Ew.
Would you have attended the blood orgy?
No, I don't want to attend the
Okay,
blood
well then mine's grosser.
But chicken blood is not gross. It's the orgy part.
I mean, neither is menstrual blood is no grosser than chicken blood. At least
somebody else's menstrual blood is gross.
Well, as opposed to what? The chicken that you're best friends with? The chicken is someone else too.
If I'm gonna get splashed with some blood, I'd rather be splashed with, like, if I'm walking by and somebody slings blood at me, I'd rather get slung with chicken blood than some rancid bitch's period blood. No thanks.
I would not want to choose either one, to be honest. But having never had chicken blood splattered on me, well, I guess, except I undercooked chicken, I suppose. But I have, as a heterosexual male, consumed menstrual blood and enjoyed it. So, I don't know. I have to say I would go menstrual blood. Plus, all you did was step on it.
I didn't step on it. I narrowly avoided it by falling onto her bed.
Yeah, okay.
But I can tell you there was a rancid stank. Not even a stink.
Oh, I'm sure it was disgusting.
Stank. It was a stank.
I don't know how people live that way, you know? I mean, yeah.
So
also,
I don't know.
I want to know how how the witch cleans up. I mean, she must have had plastic sheeting down and she rolled it up and threw it away, but
I've seen a few episodes of Dexter, so you got to.
Oh, right, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I didn't follow the show. Can you
imagine before leaving, everyone's like, "Can I use your shower?" Because people aren't walking out onto, they're not walking out onto the mean streets of Manhattan that.
Needless to say,
blood's hard to clean off.
I didn't room with that woman much longer. We had a fallout after that, and then she stiffed me on her last share of the rent because I confronted her about it, and I said this was unsanitary use of sanitary pad.
Said, I'm not paying you your blood money.
She basically fucking stiffed me. Like, what a bitch. So not only did I have to live with some gross, disgusting, unsanitary
Manila, she
person
was
that I took
ahead of
in
her-
out of the goodness of my
She was
heart.
ahead of her time. She was saving up the stem cells.
Maybe.
She didn't have access
And
to Arby's.
as a matter of fact, Ted, she was half Japanese.
But fully unsanitary.
Fully.
Yeah.
So let that sink in for your gross Tuesday, guys.
I think the Rumblers agree with me, but we shall see here.
No,
Yeah.
Robbie says Manila's is worse. People say mine's worse because it's in my own house, I guess, because I had to live with it and I would smell it all the time and I didn't know what I was smelling.
Oh.
I thought
that's bad.
I didn't think it was her stank ass or her stank panties. I just thought maybe like she was coming home late from work and eating in her room and maybe they're, I don't know. I don't know what I thought.
Was she romantically involved? Did she have a romantic partner?
No, because she had just broken up. She had just broken up with my friend and my friend was like, "Please, Manila, can you let her be your roommate for a little while?"
Did the friend your friend was dating her in the past?
In the past, and they broke up.
Well, then you must have.
So then I went to him and I was like,
intel and said,
"No, he didn't tell me that. That's the thing. If he had told me,
you brought it up to him. You gossiped
afterwards when I discovered it. I was like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, what was she like?" He's like, homie, she's got some weird habits, like and he's like the stoner type, he's like, homegirl, she's got some weird habits. This is Southern California. He's like the stoner surfer type. And I was like, dude, I want her out. Like, fucking disgusting. Like, disgusting. Like, anyway, she left. She wasn't my friend to begin with, but we're certainly not friends after.
Hope she found a rich career as a Santeria witch.
Gross. Just gross. And all I'll say is this. She was a hairdresser back then, Ted. So I hate to think at a high-end salon, I hate to think what her cleanliness level was as she's touching women's hair and faces and like where were her fingers before?
Well, what about the Santeria witch? I mean, the Santeria witch might have worked in food service.
Maybe, but I've seen my grandmother take live chickens and chop and they run around the backyard and then you drain them. I've seen goats. I've seen we ate fresh goats.
I've seen those things too.
None of that really freaks me out.
It doesn't really make you want to drop trow and roll around naked and bone.
No.
Right? I mean,
no, but I guess the reason it's not gross to me is because in the old country, that's how, or in places that aren't as sanitized in the way far removed, I should say, from the way we consume animals. This is how things are done, right? Like I've seen goats get cleaned.
To be clear here, the fact that the chicken was being murdered for a crime it did not commit was not really my issue here. The issue was how the blood was being
writhing all
processed.
over.
Yes.
Yeah, that part is weird.
I mean, I don't really scare very easily, and I was absolutely terrified.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll call it a draw, but I think mine only because I had to live with it for months and I didn't know what I was living with is just slightly.
Yeah, Robbie's saying that she was bringing demons into the building too. I think that's true.
I believe in demons.
I think that
Catholics.
I mean, this is I'm not going. I think rationality leaves the door in situations like this. So yeah, I'm on team demon.
Nerd, thank you for the donation. Nerd says blood orgy is weird, but could be hot rancid bitch period blood collection is disgusting.
Thank you. So your roommate was the Hepa Hoppa.
Yes, ew.
We could do this all day. We could do this all day.
Gross. Anyway,
all right.
Never know who's cutting your hair, Ted.
Oh my God. Well, I have a guy who cuts my hair, so it's all right.
Oh, okay. If you find a middle-aged Hoppa woman that's doing it, let me know first.
He's Israeli though, and I always wonder about his politics.
Yeah, I don't want to say this woman's name on air because I don't want to, but just inbox me if you guys are in California. She's probably still in California. And there's a middle-aged Hapa, half Asian, half Japanese, half white woman that's doing
Is
your
she
hair.
attractive?
She was cute-ish.
Oh, so that's like a Venus flytrap situation where
So,
it's like
yeah,
a
she was-
woman is like kind of cute, and then you find out that there's a dirty secret.
it was
literally.
It was the early 2000s. She had that pixie cut, like the Winona Ryder, messy pixie cut, but she got a little tubby because my friend broke up with her, and she was constantly and then she would always talk to. I don't know. I would bring my friends over before we go out, and then she would have inappropriate conversations with my friends about her vaginal discharge and she can't join us tonight because she put like a Monistat 7 up there.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're way beyond
Weird,
TMI now. All right.
Weird roommate. Like, I've had some weird room. It's SoCal, Ted. I can go. You have cab stories. I have weird roommate stories.
I've got weird roommate stories too. I actually wrote an entire book about one of my roommates, but I never released it. All right. Yeah. We're going to go now.
Yeah, we're going to go. That's it. We're going to leave you with gross roommate stories. Think about that in your 20s. Think about that. And yeah, just don't be gross, please. Like, oh my God. Ugh.
Trash can. It's not for dogs.
Use a trash can. Jeez. Wash your hands. Use a trash can. Don't be disgusting, people. We love you. Thank you for being here.
Bye. No blood orgies. No blood orgies.
Bye.
Bye.